Today is a day of mourning. The best pitcher in baseball is leaving the Mets to go to Texas. Jacob deGrom, no longer a New York Met, ripping my heart out of my chest. 5 years for $185 million with the Texas Rangers. A 6th-year option that would bring the total of the deal to $222 million. Got a full no-trade clause. This is a monster deal. He wanted to get the money. He went, he got the money. He got exactly what he wanted. I'd be lying if I sat here and told you that this didn't sting. And it'd be very easy for me to sit here and shit on the Mets. I mean, God knows I've done that plenty of times. And God knows they've deserved it plenty of times. It'd be very easy for me to sit here and do that. I get why they didn't commit to that. I get why they didn't commit to $40+ million for this guy for 5 years, 6 years. It's a ridiculous deal. You know, it's a ridiculous deal that over $40 million a year for a guy with a bad shoulder who missed a good chunk of last season. The Mets were in first place for the majority of the season without him. So I get it. I look at it this way. Now it frees up $40 million that they can spend elsewhere. They can take that $40 million, they could spend it in other areas that they need to spend the money on. It's the only way for me to look at this, because if I dwell on the fact that we just lost one of the best players, one of the best pitchers in the history of the club, I'm just going to be depressed. And I don't want to sit here tonight and be depressed. So I'm not going to do that. But you lose a Cy Young Award winner like that, and there's no way that doesn't sting. But I will leave you with this before we get into the wrestling here. I will leave you with this. I do believe that the Rangers are going to regret giving him that contract. So if you are a Texas Rangers fan, enjoy, because in the short term, it's going to be great, right? You got one of the best players in baseball. Be careful what you wish for, because I think in the end of the day, that deal's going to come back to bite them on the ass. Now, Smackdown was on FS1 tonight. At least this time I knew about it, unlike a few weeks ago where I couldn't figure out is the show on or not. It was on FS1 tonight, and you could tell that it was on FS1 because this felt like a throwaway show. It felt like a throwaway show tonight. They knew this show was not going to get big numbers because it was not on Fox, because they got bumped out of their usual spot. And they had no Roman Reigns on the show, right? Their top champion. They had no Ronda Rousey, their top women's champion on the brand, nowhere to be found here on the show tonight. 2 of their top champions missing. What does that tell you? They didn't think enough of them to have them on the show tonight. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm all that bothered by the fact that Ronda Rousey was missing from the show tonight. In fact, I'm okay with that. But I still thought it was very telling that neither one of them were called into work to be on the show tonight. But what that did was, it opened up a spot in the main event for 2 people who ordinarily would not be in the SmackDown main event. And they went out there tonight, Ricochet and Santos Escobar, in the finals of the SmackDown World Cup, which they have been playing out now on television for a period of weeks. Peter Quartieri dropping 1999 on top of my head here. Peter, thank you. I still don't know why I did that, but there you go. It's become a super chat. Very tough crowd in Buffalo tonight. These people did not seem all that excited to be there. So in front of a very tough crowd in Buffalo, Ricochet and Santos Escobar, hardly 2 main eventers, went out there in front of a tough crowd, and by the end of that match, they had won them over. And these 2 guys went out there and they gave us a main event worthy of the final slot on SmackDown, in the main event spot on SmackDown. These are 2 guys who went out there, 7 years ago probably, and they killed it in the main event on Lucha Underground. 7 years later now, they're on SmackDown. They went out and they did the exact same thing. They went out, they showed off what they can do. They had the crowd hanging on to every near fall. We had a spectacular finish in that match. And Ricochet goes over. He wins the SmackDown World Cup. He wins the Shane McMahon trophy. Gets the big pyro celebration. Ricochet, he won, but he really lost because all he did tonight was he punched his ticket to an Intercontinental Championship match and certain doom against Gunther. So really, when you think about it, what did Ricochet really win? He won his way to a beating. Yet another beating from Gunther in 2 weeks in Chicago on SmackDown, December 16th. That is when he is going to have his championship match. But Ricochet, for one night only, he got the trophy. He got the big pyro celebration. Ricochet got his WrestleMania moment. I hope he soaks it up. I hope he enjoys it because it's not going to last very long. But those two guys had a very fun main event on this show tonight. Sami Zayn, officially a member of the Bloodline. There was no ceremony. There was no Roman Reigns. But they were talking about him as if, he's an official member of the Bloodline now, right? They're all on the same page, one big happy family. Or are they? Because there was a little wrinkle thrown into the Bloodline storyline in one of the backstage segments tonight with the Usos that came later on in the show. That would indicate that maybe things aren't exactly as rosy as they want us to believe they are. When Jimmy Uso questioned Jey Uso and asked him, hey, did you bring up the backstage segment last week with Kevin Owens? Did you bring it up with Sami? And Jey Uso said, no, Roman Reigns said there was no need to do that because he looked in Sami's eyes and he knew that he was true. He was true to the Bloodline. We won at Survivor Series and War Games. It's all good. It's all good. Of course, it's not all good. We know it's not all good. It's only a matter of time. But tonight was all about Bloodline solidarity. It was forwarding the story and making sure that everybody knows these men are on the same page for the time being. We had a couple of additions to the SmackDown women's division tonight as well. We had a vignette for the return. Oh, get ready. Get ready for another round of vignettes for the returning Lacey Evans. How many was it last time when Lacey Evans was re-debuting on the main roster? How many weeks in a row? I forgot the exact number. I want to say it was about 8 weeks in a row of videos to the point of absurdity. And then she came back and that went over about as well as a fucking fart in church. And I don't expect this to be any different. But Lacey Evans is on her way back. But we got another return tonight as well. And actually, it's kind of funny the way this worked because based on the reaction that this other woman got coming out tonight, making her big return, she's somebody who would actually have benefited from video packages to promote her return because she came out here on the show and she got over about as well as a fart in church, and that was TEGAN NOX, who got fired a year ago. It was November of last year when TEGAN NOX was released by WWE. Now, what has TEGAN NOX been doing for the past year? She's been sitting at home doing nothing because she's been dealing with visa and green card issues. She hasn't been able to get them. So legally, she has not been able to work. All she could do is sit home and play video games. So she hasn't wrestled in over a year. Triple H, though, ascended to the throne, and it was only a matter of time before Triple H gave her the phone call and said, hey, Tegan, we need you back. And so we had TEGAN NOX making her return tonight. And I'm happy for TEGAN NOX. I'm happy for her to hopefully this time get a proper opportunity to show what she can do on the main roster. She never had that chance last time. I think the way things happened last time, they broke up the team that she was in the middle of with Shotzi. I think they drafted her to Raw. She never debuted on the show, and then they fired her. So you can't say in good conscience that they gave TEGAN NOX the opportunity to really go out there and show what she can do. Hopefully now under Triple H, she'll have that chance, and the SmackDown women's division can definitely use some fresh blood. That's a positive, that TEGAN NOX is back. Of course, the other question is, can her knees hold up? She's had injury issues in the past. 3 major knee surgeries going back to when she was a teenager. Can her body hold up? Or is her body going to betray her again? But she is back. Came out tonight to come to the aid of Liv Morgan. This is your Friday Night SmackDown review for Friday night, December 2nd, 2022. I am the Solomonster. If you are new here to the channel, hit that subscribe button. That way you can flip on the notification bell, and whenever I go live or I upload a special feature or a clip, you will get a notification so you will not miss out on any of the content. So that's very important. It was a super chat party in here the other night for the Dynamite stream. And I have to acknowledge this person because before I went live tonight, hours before I went live, as soon as I got the page up earlier this evening, we had Simi Valley with a $100 super chat bomb. I saw the red. Every time I see red on my screen, I know something big just happened. And there it was, Simi Valley, staring me right back in the face with the $100 super chat. So I want to thank him. I'm going to get to your message a little bit later on, but I wanted to acknowledge him before we even get going here. Just like I want to acknowledge Ritzy Hades for becoming a Sound Off superstar. Thank you, Ritzy Hades. He is getting in on the membership party. But Simi Valley, were you a He-Man fan? I was a He-Man fan when I was a kid. And I asked that question because I'm going to call you Beastman for dropping that bomb before I even went live tonight. Remember Beastman from He-Man? Simi Valley tonight is Beastman. So I'll be reading your super chats a little bit later on. 350 likes is the goal for Be the Booker tonight. I don't know where we are right now. I don't have it in front of me, but all you guys need to do is hit the thumbs up. And if we have enough later on in the stream, we will do Be the Booker. Always a good way to end the week with some Be the Booker. Channel memberships are open. I am still in awe over what happened here on Wednesday night. We had a record night here on the stream. In one single night, we had 42 new channel memberships, a lot of which were gifted by a handful of different people in the live chat. So what you see, a lot of people with green names and badges next to their names in the chat, they may well be a new channel member. We had 42 of them in the span of a couple of hours the other night. And I can't thank you guys enough for that. And that's a record, not even close. That is an all-time record here in one night for this channel. So if you want to become a channel member like Ritzy Hades just did, by all means, go ahead and do so. They are open. And I think with that having been said, we can get into the opening segment on this show tonight, because SmackDown opened with the Bloodline. SmackDown opened with the honorary Uce, Sami Zayn. Oh yeah, that's right. By the way, I see the I see all of the emojis now that all the new channel members have access to. Hey Mythosaur, you don't have to be here if you don't like it, so I update the title of the video when the show goes off the air. You should know that by now. It helps people find the video, come on in, find the channel. I don't do things by accident. I do things for a reason. Trust me. Trust me that I do things for a reason. I don't do them to piss you off or spoil the outcomes of matches. When the show is over, the show is over. And the title is adjusted accordingly. If you don't like that, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. So SmackDown opened, like I said, with the honorary Uce, Sami Zayn. Still honorary because they have t-shirts to sell. So I'm guessing that's why we don't have Sami Zayn is no... They said he's an official member of the Bloodline. He's still wearing the honorary Uce shirt because they have all this merch they probably still have to sell. Right? They want to move more t-shirts. So he's still the honorary Uce. He was out there with the Usos and Solo Sikoa for a singles match against Sheamus. Jey Uso had the microphone. He told the fans in Buffalo that the Bloodline was now in their city. Sami said the Bloodline leveled up in War Games. Jimmy interrupted him and said that tonight it's all about Sami. And he said that Sami Zayn was the MVP of Survivor Series, and he got the crowd to chant Sami Uso. Jey told Sami that he doubted him for a long time. He doubted him. He said he didn't even like him very much. But when he made the decision to stand with the family, he earned his respect. And it's because of him that the Bloodline won the War Games match. Sami was touched. He said he didn't know what to say. Jimmy said that we do. And he asked him how he was feeling, and the crowd started chanting Usi. And Sami said that, well, you know, I think I'm feeling pretty freaking Usi tonight. And he did his special handshake with Jimmy. He got Jey in on it this time. He did the handshake. Finally, the Brawling Brutes interrupted. Sheamus said that he felt bad about laying a beating on a fellow ginger. But he said that the time for talking was over. It's fight night. And we had ourselves an opening match. So we got into it here. Sami went to give Sheamus the 10 beats at one point. Sheamus, though, caught his arm and stopped him from doing so. He tried to fire up the crowd. Again, early on in this match, just the crowd, even though they love seeing Sami and the Bloodline in the opening segment, you could tell from the beginning of this first match here on the show that this was going to be a tough crowd tonight. So Sheamus was trying to rally the crowd into things a little bit more. It wasn't really working too well for him. Sheamus applied a cloverleaf. Sami was able to crawl and reach the ropes. Sami got back into it, though, dumped Sheamus out to the floor, hit a suicide dive out over the top rope, and took down Sheamus, which took us into the commercial break. So when the show came back, Sami was up on the top rope, and he hit a fly. You can call it a flying nothing, because it's, you know, he comes off the top rope, but it's clear, like, you look at him, he's like, what is he going for? It doesn't look like he's going for anything. It's the flying nothing. He came off the top rope into a knee strike from Sheamus. Usually it would be a foot. He ate a knee here from Sheamus. Then he tried for an avalanche white noise. Sami slipped out, hit a sit-out powerbomb for a near fall. Sami was lining up for the haluva kick. Sheamus, though, captured his leg and delivered white noise. Both men crawled to their feet. We had chaos at ringside between the members of the Bloodline and the members of the Brawling Brutes. Referee was distracted by this. Jey Uso slides into the ring without the referee seeing it. He delivers a super kick to Sheamus, and Sami was able to do a sunset flip. He pinned Sheamus to win the match. So Jey Uso here in this match, proving that he was genuine. He was genuine in what he said earlier in the opening promo. He was genuine at Survivor Series when he gave Sami a big old bear hug at the end of the match. It's all water under the bridge, right? He's a part of the family now. Helping out Sami Zayn, helping him win the match. And the crowd, like I said, surprisingly quiet for the first half. They won them over, though, in those final few minutes. This was about establishing solidarity within the Bloodline. Right now, for Sami Zayn, it's the best of times. But as we all know, the best of times usually gives way to the worst of times, which is what's yet to come. We had a vignette for Legado del Fantasma and Santos Escobar. This was really well done. He vowed to win the World Cup from Mexico and to shine a light on Lucha Libre. Zelina Vega was looking, she was smoking. She was smoking on this show tonight. Zelina Vega was smoking. She said a win in the tournament would give Escobar a first-class ticket to the Intercontinental title. And with the Intercontinental title comes a position of power in WWE. And it feels that way, right? It feels that way ever since Walter took the championship, because they've done a very good job of building him up. He's been unbeatable ever since he won that championship, and hopefully will continue to be unbeatable until he drops the title to Sheamus at WrestleMania. So they've done a very good job of reestablishing the Intercontinental title as something worth having and as something worth paying attention to on this show, because for so many years, the title was neglected. I've run down the stats before over these many months. At one point, the championship had not been defended on a pay-per-view since WrestleMania 37, when Apollo Crews had his Nigerian drum beat match, or whatever the hell it was, his Nigerian, what was it called? A Nigerian drum match or something against the Big E at WrestleMania last year. There was a period of like a year and a half that went by without the title being defended on a single pay-per-view. For so long, the championship was treated like a trinket on the show. And at least since Gunther won the title now, it has forced them, because they want to push him, it's forced them to make the championship into something desirable again, which is nice to see. Hey, Corey Blake, thank you for that, man. Thank you for the 1999. I did not miss you. I saw you. I saw you there. Thank you, Corey. Megan Morant was in the back with Kofi Kingston, who officially entered himself into the 2023 Royal Rumble match. Kofi Kingston, no doubt, is going to be trying to avenge his botched elimination from this year's Royal Rumble. See, he got too cute for his own good. Every year he tries to top himself with these elimination spots, which honestly, I'm so over these stupid elimination spots, but I know some people like them. At first it was fun, and now it's just, he's more interested in how can I come up with ways to not get eliminated, as opposed to how can I win the Royal Rumble match? So this year he went a little too far. Remember, he got knocked off the apron. Actually, was he on the rope? He was on the ropes, and he got knocked off the ropes, did this huge dive, and the idea was that he was going to latch onto the barricade, but his feet would not touch the floor. but he came down so high and so hard that his feet immediately hit the floor, and it just screwed the entire spot up. So now Kofi is going to, I'm sure, want to avenge that. He's going to try to come up with something this time that hopefully is not as impossible as that spot. I don't know why he even thought that spot was going to work. It seemed pretty clear just based when he was in midair that this was not going to end well for Kofi, and it did. So she asked Kofi about the finals of the World Cup. He said that he would not bet against Ricochet. Giovanni Vinci and Ludwig Kaiser of Imperium walked up. They told Kofi that New Day spends more time online lately than they do wrestling in the ring. And Kofi said, look, Xavier Woods, not here tonight, but I would be more than happy to challenge one of you to a match. Well, that was a mistake, because then into camera frame comes Gunther, who I guess was standing off to the side, and he said, tonight you're going to face me. And they all walked off, and Kofi had, a scared look on his face, and then he said, all right, I don't know where you came from. You kind of popped up out of nowhere, but all right, tonight it'll be you and me. Elsewhere in the back, we had Bray Wyatt, and this is what Bray Wyatt does now. Bray Wyatt comes to work every single week, and Bray Wyatt does not wrestle. Bray Wyatt comes to work, and he hangs out in the backstage area, and he talks to himself. And occasionally, like this, he'll cut a promo for the viewing audience. This is why Bray Wyatt came back. He came back to spend 85% of his time in the backstage area. I said if he wants to be in the backstage area, he should have come back and become an agent. He could have been a producer. He could have been an agent. He could be sitting in the gorilla position next to Triple H. He could be counting times for the matches, time cues. This week, he delivered a promo, an address to all of us from the back, with creepy music playing in the background. This is what he said. He said, you know what I think is pretty wild? I think we're all spoiled today. He said, society's given us this lavish lifestyle. We're all surrounded in technology and everybody has manners. Clearly, Bray Wyatt has not been on social media. He's talking about everybody having manners. I don't know what he's talking about. He says everybody has manners. We forget that once upon a time, we were all just wild animals. He said spiders eat flies, snakes eat rats. People don't look at this as an act of violence. It's just animals trying to survive. He said that some must die so others can live. We don't dare talk about these things, even though these primal instincts are ingrained in all of us. We don't talk about them because we don't want to be the freak. He says, but they're all there. They're all there for all of us. Because I'm not the one that hurt LA Knight. But I heard you and how you rejoiced. How primal of you. I think he was referring to Uncle Howdy here. I'm not sure. He goes, how primal of you. However, if I had been the one, he goes, you would all know because there would be none of him left. So that was a good line to end the promo on, and he stared into the camera, kind of creepy, a little bit. Now later in the show, we got an Uncle Howdy video. Again, a lot of footage interspersed into the video of Bray Wyatt's career, different points of his career. He said, he asked us how well we know our neighbor. How well do we know our neighbor? He said, why can't we all see that he knows what Bray thinks, and he knows how he feels, and it's all fiction? He says, trust me and revel in what you are. And if that sounds very similar to how I have recapped other promos in recent weeks, it's because this is becoming, every week, it just sounds like it's becoming a carbon copy of what I've said the previous week. It feels to me they're starting to tread water. They're starting to tread water with this, and so I'm hoping soon they can move things along here because it's starting to get a little old. Now we're into December now. Bray's been back for 2 months. It's been a lot of the same. I've enjoyed the segments that he's had with LA Knight. There was no LA Knight on the show tonight. I did hear about this pitch, which I'm sure some of you have read, that there's a pitch supposedly for a match at the Royal Rumble that is believed to be a match involving Bray Wyatt. And nobody knows what kind of match this is going to be other than it's being referred to as pitch black. Some kind of pitch black match. Now I hear that and my first thought, it makes me wonder if it's a cinematic match. If it's some kind of cinematic type match. I can't imagine that the people at the Alamo Dome who pay to go to the Rumble who want to see Bray Wyatt in person would be too happy about a cinematic match on a screen. So maybe it's not a cinematic match. If it's not a cinematic match, I hear that title and it worries me. It worries me. It could go a lot of different ways. A pitch black match can mean a lot of different things. But whatever they're doing with Bray, I hope now as we get closer to the Rumble, they start to move this along, because to me, it's starting to get a little old. We had Shayna Baszler, one-on-one with Emma. Oh my God, it's Paul Hamilton, everybody. With the $100 Moo Super Chat. Paul Hamilton is celebrating his birthday in an hour with Solomonster. That is the best gift ever, says the Portland pop star. Hey, Paul, happy birthday, man. I know it's not his birthday yet, but it will be soon. Happy birthday to Paul Hamilton. Paul has been a great friend of the show for a very long time. Every time WWE goes to Portland, the Portland area, he's always there with a sign, even though sometimes those bastards take the signs away before he could even get in the building. It's the thought that counts. Paul, happy birthday. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and thank you for the $100 Super Chat. That is our second $100 bomb of the night. You love to see it. Shayna Baszler against Emma. Before the match, Emma is getting ready in the gorilla position in the back. And here comes Madcap Moss. He's here for a pep talk. He's here to cheer up Emma because Emma is very nervous. She's very nervous. She said, you know, it's been 5 years. I only just came back. He told her that none of this happens. None of this, I guess this being, you know, the SmackDown women's division being what it is. I mean, it feels like it's in fucking shambles right now. But I guess the overall women's division in this company, it wouldn't be what it is today without you being part of that women's revolution all those years ago. He said, the competition is tough, but you're Emma. And you remember Stuart Smiley from SNL sitting there looking in the mirror? You're special, right? I got some Stuart Smiley vibes here. Maybe Madcap will start coming out wearing the old Stuart Smiley, was it the sweater that he wore? He says, you're Emma, and you're special. So before he could walk away, Emma gave him a kiss on the cheek, and then she went out for her match. That was the final kiss before going out to her death against Shayna Baszler here. Shayna took control by ringing Emma's shoulder on the second rope. She was working over the shoulder for a while. That was the focal point for her in this match. Shayna tried to place Emma's hand on the mat for that elbow stomp that she does. Emma, though, reversed out with a kick, hit some elbow strikes. She landed a neck breaker using the second rope, got a 2 count out of it. Baszler missed a knee strike in the corner. Emma applied a tarantula in the ropes, climbed up top. Shayna kicked the ropes, though. She got crotched, and Shayna ended up getting the Kirifuda clutch. There was nowhere for Emma to go. She had no choice but to tap out. After the match, Shayna went back to Emma on the attack, and she was about to do some damage to the arm. Here comes Shotzi. And I thought to myself, oh, God. Because I just thought, please, keep Shotzi away from Ronda. Keep Shotzi away from Shayna. After what we saw at Survivor Series, I don't want to see this ever again. Here comes Shotzi down to the ring to make the save. Of course, she was about as successful at that tonight as she was at War Games. And Shayna was able to quickly overtake her. But now here comes Raquel Rodriguez, Shotzi's good buddy, who supposedly had her elbow broken last week. She had her arm in a brace. Raquel comes down to there. What did I put the over-under at last week? As far as how many weeks before we would see Raquel back on TV? I think I put it at 3. I was wrong. It took 1. So she came down to the ring, got inside. Shayna backed out because she was outnumbered 3-1. See, unlike Liv Morgan later in the show, Shayna can do math, and she realized, I'm outnumbered here. I'm going to leave. I'm going to be smart, and I'm going to walk away. The match itself, I thought it was all right. Let me go back to what we saw before the match with Madcap and Emma. If they want to invest in more character development with Madcap Moss, because they clearly see big things for him, and Madcap is not bad. Madcap just needs a direction. He needs a direction, a story, a character. He needs a reason for me to care when I see him on TV. Physically, he's got a lot of physical gifts in the ring. He's not bad. He's got this explosiveness about him. You can kind of tell he's a former football player. But he needs more than that. There's got to be something more than what they're giving us now. So if they want to, sort of expand his character and develop it a little bit more, I think that's great. The stuff here with Emma, if they want to do something with them, they're a real-life couple, so maybe there's some added chemistry there. I think that's fine. The issue is not so much with Madcap. The issue is with Emma. Emma just came back fairly recently, only a matter of weeks ago. Emma was gone for 5 years. So there are a lot of people who watch this show, and there were a lot of people in the stands tonight who didn't seem to care about a whole lot of stuff on the show, who don't know Emma. They don't know who she is. They didn't watch NXT. They don't remember her from her time on the main roster because it was so short. They didn't pay attention to anything that she did in Impact or anywhere else outside of WWE. So her coming back after so many years away, she's brand new. And they threw her on television cold the same way they did with TEGAN NOX tonight as well. They threw her out there cold without really telling you, except for Michael Cole throwing out a few lines on commentary, who she is and why she is so important to the history of this women's, evolution or whatever you want to call it, because she was part of that. And they should have some sort of vignette or a series of vignettes that really explain, hey, Emma was a part of this back in the old NXT. When it was Emma and it was Paige, right? And people like that, she was part of that. It started there and it developed into what we have today. So they need to do a better job, I think, of explaining to people exactly who this woman is. She's backstage before the match trying to get herself psyched up, having doubts about herself, but tell people who she is. They didn't do that. They just threw her out there cold, and it's almost like they're doing it backwards now. They're doing it in reverse. I think they need to do a better job of letting people know, okay, here's who Emma is and why you should care. We had a video package for Lacey Evans. Here we go again. This is the latest repackaging of Lacey Evans. We just had Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Everybody bought gifts for people or got gifts. For example, I got a jacket. I was looking for a new windbreaker. Had the same one for years. I wanted a new one. So I got a windbreaker. I opened the box. I try it on, and it's too big. It's too big. It's a fucking medium, and the sleeves are ridiculously long. So I put the thing back in the boxed it back up, and I'm going to send it back, right? It made me think of Lacey Evans here. How many times has Lacey Evans been repackaged? This is at least the second time now that she's been repackaged. She's like a gift. You keep putting her back in the box. You got it the first time. You tried it on. It didn't fit. You didn't want it. You put it back in the box. So let's try again, right? Let's open the box back up and give this another shot. That's what they're doing here with Lacey Evans. So now this time, since it didn't work last time, we're going to try again. This time, the idea is that she's a former U.S. Marine, which she is. That's legit. That's her background, right? That's well established from the last series of vignettes that we got with her. She's a former U.S. Marine. She is getting back to basics. Get it? Back to basic training. And they showed her here. They had somebody narrating a video of her training with a group of Marines. The last time we saw Lacey Evans, 8 weeks. Something like that, 8 weeks or so of vignettes on television. First, she was going to be on one brand. I think it was SmackDown, right? She even came out on SmackDown. Had a weird segment, too, where she came out and she waved and redid her entrance because the fans didn't cheer loud enough for her. Then she just ended up being moved over to Raw. So now they had to air these fucking vignettes all over again because you may have people who watch Raw but don't watch SmackDown. So now they had to start all over again. And then on Raw, she didn't do anything there either. And then she disappeared because she fell out of favor when Triple H took over. She was not somebody that Triple H was interested in pushing right away. He was going to take his time and figure out what to do with her. Triple H was more interested in damage control. You could tell who Triple H wanted to push as he took over the creative book in WWE. Lacey Evans was a Vince McMahon pick, kind of like Austin Theory, right? She was the Vince McMahon girl. When Triple H took over, Lacey Evans disappeared. She vanished within a few weeks, and we didn't see her. So now they're trying this with her. 8 weeks of vignettes that we got for this woman. Building her up as the biggest babyface in the world, right? Telling her story. It was a tearjerker about how her father neglected her, or it was psychological abuse, and her mother, left in the middle of the night with her so they could flee, but then he found them, and it was this awful but gripping story, right? You would think, man, this woman's going to be a hell of a babyface when she debuts on TV. And she finally debuts on TV as a fucking heel. All that build-up just to swerve everybody into thinking that she was going to be a babyface. So it didn't get over. Nobody cared. And the problem is Lacey Evans just isn't very good. Right? We have a lot of women on the roster. We have a lot of women on the roster on SmackDown. We have a lot of women on the roster on Raw. They've got some really good quality prospects down in NXT. There's nothing about Lacey Evans in the ring when the bell rings that stands out. So what little bit we saw of her, she may have been in the Women's Money in the Bank match this year. I believe she was. What little we saw of her just wasn't very good. So here we are again. They're going to try. They failed with her last time. There's no reason to think they're going to do any better this time around. But they're going to try again, and lots of luck. I don't know how that's going to work out, but hey, lots of luck. Hopefully Triple H actually knows what the fuck he's doing this time, unlike Vince McMahon, who had no fucking clue. We got a video earlier for Santos Escobar, very well done. We got a very well done video for Ricochet, building him up for the main event tonight in the finals of the World Cup. He framed it as the U.S. against Mexico. He said winning the World Cup would mean everything to him. And he told Santos that he hopes he's ready and that he was looking forward to his Intercontinental title match against Gunther. We had Kofi Kingston against Gunther, speaking of which. This was non-title. Before the match, Kofi Kingston was dancing around like Alex Wright. He was doing the Alex Wright dance from WCW. And he said that Imperium looked like a bunch of Alex Wrongs. Kofi Kingston, everybody. So Gunther attempted to send Kofi to the floor. He reversed and sent Gunther to the floor instead. Kofi hit the ropes for a dive. Kaiser, though, reached in and grabbed his foot. Gunther landed a big boot. He was setting up for the power bomb. Braun Strowman's music hit. And Braun Strowman came out. What was it again? What did Jeff Jarrett call him? I keep forgetting. The banana nose. What was it again? Oh wait, here comes the Strowman Express. There it is. The banana nose circus. There he is, everybody. There he is. The banana nose circus. I forgot what it was for a second. So there he is. We'll keep him on screen. He can watch here as I review. He can be my mascot. He can be my Ed Sullivan to Johnny Carson. So Strowman's music hit. He took out Kaiser and Vinci, and he sent them into the Timekeeper's area. Gunther was distracted. Kofi landed an SOS for a near fall. I was about to go off. I was about to go off tonight. I was licking my chops. I was about to go off when I thought that they were going to pin Gunther for the first time on a distraction. They had me convinced there for a second that they were going to do it. Here comes Braun. He cost Gunther the match. It's non-title, so we could pin the guy. Oh. Thankfully, he kicked out. I was ready. I was like, you're going to pin this guy for the first time on a distraction in a random match on FS1. Get the fuck out of here. Thankfully, they didn't do that. So Kaiser and Vinci, they got chased from ringside by Strowman after the commercial break. Kofi landed a drop kick and a jumping lariat. He followed up with a boom drop. Then he set up for Trouble in Paradise. Gunther, though, blocked it. He attempted a German suplex. Kofi landed on his feet. He splashed Gunther from the top rope for a 2 count. Tried for a springboard move out of the corner, and Gunther just chopped him out of the sky. And Gunther landed a shotgun drop kick, hit his powerbomb finish, but Kofi kicked out. Kofi Kingston kicked out of the powerbomb. Now, I understand that Kofi Kingston is a former WWE champion. I get that. He was WWE champion for 6 months. Kofi Mania, as the last WrestleMania I went to live, right? Great moment when he beat Daniel Bryan. Very emotional. People in the crowd crying, sobbing, right? Nobody could ever take that away from Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston has not been booked like a WWE champion. Kofi Kingston went right back to where he was before. He is a mid-card comedy guy half the time. The other time, when he's not doing comedy, he's there to put other people over. That's his role on the show, right? He had his moment came and went, and that's it. So he's in a certain position at a certain level on this show. I saw him kick out of the powerbomb here, and I thought that was a mistake. You can't kill Gunther's finish like that. Until I saw what came after, it appears that this may not be his finish anymore. Unless he's going to just have multiple finishers that he uses, which I think would actually be kind of cool to have 2 or 3 different finishing maneuvers to kind of pull out of his arsenal every now and then. But he kicked out of the powerbomb. But after this, Gunther scooped up Kofi for an Emerald Flosion and pinned him with that move instead. So Michael Cole said that he calls it the Last Symphony, and it looks like that's going to be his new finish. So if they are phasing out the powerbomb, then so be it. If he kicks out of the powerbomb, if that's not his finish anymore, then whatever, that's fine. I prefer the regular powerbomb to the Emerald Flosion as the finish. All due respect to Misawa. I know that was Misawa's move, but me personally, I like a good old-fashioned powerbomb. Backstage. All right, get out of here, Braun. Useless. Backstage, Sami Zayn told the Usos and Solo Sikoa he was ready to go get dinner. Right? He was hungry. Usos said, look, take Solo with you. Who's going to go get the car? They go, take Solo with you. You're making a lot of enemies around here. You could use the backup. You guys go. So off went Sami and Solo, and that left Jimmy and Jay. And Jimmy turned to Jay, and he asked Jay, hey, did you ever talk to Sami about, the comment about Kevin Owens? Lying to you about Kevin Owens? And Jay said, no, the tribal chief told me that he saw what he needed to see in Sami's eyes, and they got the W at War Games, right? So it's all good. Then Sheamus attacked both of them with a shillelagh. There was no Solo Sikoa to defend them. He hit them with a shillelagh, left them both laying. He said that he and Drew McIntyre would be seeing them, assuming that they got past Drew, Elias and Matt Riddle on Monday night, because we have a tag team title match coming up on Monday night. A shout out to Scott Woodford, who just gifted a channel membership to Matthew Miller. So Matthew Miller is a new channel member, and Mr. Belvedere should be on TV. Oh, I love it. Mr. Belvedere should be on TV, just became a new channel member. And that, by the way, I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. Mr. Belvedere was a fucking great show. And of all the sitcoms that are replayed on all these different cable channels, you don't find Mr. Belvedere anywhere. I'm not even sure Mr. Belvedere is on any of the streaming services. Please let me know if I am wrong about that, because I would love to know. Mr. Belvedere was a great show back in the day. It had Bob Uecker on there, Mr. Baseball himself. Right? I believe the kid's name on the show was Wesley, if I'm not mistaken. That is a great username. Mr. Belvedere should be on TV. That might be my new favorite username here on this channel. So anyway, this is another interesting little wrinkle here in this Bloodline story, that they're still focusing on Kevin Owens' comment on TV last week and teasing that at some point there will be a confrontation here where Jay is going to talk to Sami and bring it up and see what Sami has to say. Damage Control. I know, everybody's favorite faction. Damage Control made their entrance. And they aired highlights from the Women's War Games match last weekend. Bayley criticized the fan in the crowd for wearing a dumb hat. So it's good to see Jake Hager was in the crowd tonight here in Buffalo. She said they didn't want to be in Buffalo, but apparently SmackDown needed ratings, and so they knew they could call on Damage Control to come boost the ratings for this show. Bayley said that they were in War Games for a combined 95 minutes on Saturday, and asked if the crowd knew what that meant for their bodies. They were all sore and beat up from the War Games match. She criticized Becky Lynch for being in the match for a cup of coffee, very brief period of time. Bayley turned her attention to the SmackDown women's roster, said that none of them wanted to step up to Damage Control. That brought out Liv Morgan. Who said that it seemed like Bayley had a problem with the SmackDown women's division. How very perceptive of Liv Morgan. She's a very perceptive person to pick up on that. By the way, it's not a plain blue shirt. This is a blue hue here. We got to go blue for SmackDown. Actually, the blue color brings out the paint. There we go. Where is it? There we go. Brings out the painting more in the background. Now, this is a shout out to Stone Cold, man. This is a Broken Skull Ranch shirt here. Now you can't see it. None of these shirts are plain. Everyone assumes it's plain because you can't see the emblem. This is a broken skull. Anything with skulls. You guys know this. I'm a sucker for skulls. So Liv says, I count my odds here at 3-on-1. She could tell there's 3 of them and only 1 of her. And she said, well, that seems fair. And she charges down to the ring. Of course, she was outnumbered 3-1. So that brought out the returning Tegan Nox, who I mentioned a few minutes ago. Tegan Nox comes out to crickets from the crowd. If you want to know what her the color of her hair was, the answer is all of them. She brawled with Damage Control. She was overwhelmed as well by the numbers. Liv got back in the ring. She used the kendo stick to fend off Damage Control. She beat them off with a stick. And Tegan Nox hit the shiniest wizard. Not very good, but she hit the shiniest wizard to Bayley, which is her finishing move. And that sent Damage Control scattering. So Tegan Nox was released by WWE in November of last year, so about a year ago. And as I said, she was having visa issues and she legally could not work, so she was stuck at home. Obviously, Triple H gave her a phone call, came to the rescue, rehired her, brought her back. Her injury history cannot be ignored. Again, she's had multiple ACL injuries to both knees, and she was a can't-miss prospect there for a while. And I believe she was scheduled to win the Mae Young Classic a few years ago until her knee exploded in that match with Rhea Ripley. I mean, I still remember that match. It was very scary because she did that dive out to the floor immediately. She was, clearly something was wrong, continued the match, and then ended up just taking a bump, falling down, screaming in agony. Full Sail, I'll never forget it. Full Sail just came to a total dead silence, like a hush fell over that crowd. And it's a small building anyway. You had maybe 400 people at Full Sail. A hush silence fell over that crowd. You could hear every scream. She was talking to the trainer. She was in tears. Rhea, was doing her best to sort of smile and sell it. Even she won the match, but you could tell she was concerned. I won't ever forget that moment. My hope for her is that her knees can hold up. She's had both of them operated on, but I don't know that she's had any injury issues since then in the last couple of years, so hopefully she can stay healthy. If she can stay healthy, she could still be a major player in that women's division. Triple H will give her the opportunity. Triple H saw something in her back then, and if her body can hold up, I think Triple H is going to give her the ball, give her the baton, pass it to her, see what she can do with it. She can be a major player. We need new blood here on the SmackDown women's roster. Tegan Nox can be somebody who can contribute. But it looks, based on what they did here, like we may be in for a women's tag team title match very soon. It may be Tegan Nox and Liv Morgan as a team going after Dakota Kai and Io Sky. When we saw rather Tegan on SmackDown last time, before they moved her over to Raw and did nothing with her, she was in a team with Shotzi. So it looks like they're just going to replace Shotzi with Liv Morgan, and I would expect that they're going to go after the tag team titles. We had a vignette for Karrion Kross. And in the video, we had Scarlett with tarot cards that she kept flipping over. Kross talked about how the universe is chaos, and he had to teach Drew McIntyre and Madcap Moss about the violence of the storm. Scarlett unveiled a tarot card that had Rey Mysterio's image on it, which indicated that is going to be his next feud. It's going to be Karrion Kross working with Rey Mysterio. That's going to be his next target. I like that as a program. I like Rey as an opponent for Karrion Kross. I like Rey as an opponent for anybody, if we're being honest. Rey Mysterio, if I were in WWE, the person that I would want to work with is Rey Mysterio. So Rey Mysterio working with anybody is going to make anybody he's in there with look good. He's smaller than most of them. So if you're bigger, you're working with a smaller guy, he can fly around and bounce around and bump around for you. He's the perfect opponent, right? He's a veteran guy. So I think it's actually a great choice to work with Karrion Kross going forward. And it also indicates, I guess, that Rey is, due to be back very soon from his injury. I had heard that the injury, he had that walking boot on when they did the skit for Thanksgiving at his house. And Dominic was attacking the foot or the leg. But the reports were that it wasn't anything terribly serious. So obviously he's going to be on his way back very soon. And the main event was the finals of the first ever SmackDown World Cup tournament. Santos Escobar, Ricochet, the winner to challenge Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship in 2 weeks in Chicago, or Rosemont, more specifically, on the December 16th episode of SmackDown. Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro were out there with Santos. Zelina Vega on commentary at the beginning of the match. Almost immediately, we have Wilde and Del Toro getting involved. Ricochet overcame them, hit a suicide dive for the early advantage. He went for a springboard. Wilde pushed him off. The referee then ejected Wilde and Del Toro. This just pissed off Zelina Vega to no end. She couldn't believe this. She was mortified by this. So she got up on the apron. And so the referee, Jason Ayers, decided to eject her as well. So all the other members of Legado del Fantasma were tossed out, which left a clean one-on-one match here for the rest of the segment. Back from the break, Ricochet was running wild with head scissors, running drop kick in the corner. Escobar sent Ricochet to ringside, hit a suicide dive that sent him backwards onto the announce table. Always loved that King Cuerno dive from their Lucha Underground days together. Escobar slowed the pace down with a lion tamer, which Michael Cole called by that name. On the apron, Ricochet rocked Escobar with a super kick, and he followed that with a shooting star press off the apron to a standing Escobar on the floor and took him down. And that took us into the final break. They fought up on the top rope after the break. Ricochet hit a superplex. After that, they traded shots. They both hit the ropes, and they collided in midair. Ricochet ran at Escobar at ringside. And so this was a little weird. So Ricochet is on one side of the ring, kind of leaning up against the barricade. And he's looking straight ahead, and all the way, kind of where the announcers are, is Santos Escobar, and he's also standing by the barricade. So we have this distant standoff here between these two, and it almost looked like there was some confusion about who should do what. Like it was a little weird. And then finally Ricochet ran, came off the ring steps, landed on top of the ringside barricade, and balanced himself on top of the barricade. As he's standing there, here comes Santos Escobar. He jumps up and lands on the same barricade. So now they're both on top of the ringside barricade. And Escobar hits a standing Hurricane Rana off the barricade, takes Ricochet, takes this hellacious bump down onto the floor. That woke the crowd up. This was the turning point here in this match. Because up to this point, the people in the crowd were treating this match like a match between two lower-level guys on the roster. That's how they were treating this match. After Escobar hit the Rana off the barricade, that started to wake them up. And then it grew and it grew and it built until the very end, and they had the people eating out of their hand. So credit to both these guys. Like I said, this was a tough crowd tonight in Buffalo, but they got these people into it. By the way, after that spot, the audio on the show was completely muted for about 15 seconds. They don't even cut in and out. If they're chanting holy shit, which you could see the crowd, the mouths were chanting holy shit, they don't care. They'll just mute the whole damn thing. 15 seconds straight of silence, so we didn't hear any of the holy shit chants. Escobar and Ricochet fought up top. Escobar tried for another Hurricane Rana. Ricochet, though, landed on his feet. And he rocked Escobar with a knee and a Northern Light suplex into a brainbuster. He muscled this guy up. I mean, his core strength is just sick. dropped it with the brain buster. Ricochet followed with a springboard moonsault. Perfect quebrada off the ropes. Got a near fall. Ricochet then went for the 450. Escobar got the knees up. He got a close near fall out of it. Escobar went for the Phantom Driver. Ricochet reversed out of it. The finish of this match was tremendous. This was a great finish here. Ricochet hit a Poison Rana off the top rope. He followed that up with a jumping knee and a super kick and then hit the 630 for the win. And the crowd popped huge. After the match, he posed on stage with the Shane McMahon World Cup trophy. His Best in the World trophy. Exact same trophy, by the way. And they shot off pyro like it was WrestleMania. And Gunther came out with the Intercontinental title, and we had a standoff. Ricochet with his trophy, Gunther with his championship, to give us a little preview of the title match coming up in 2 weeks in Chicago. And that is how they went off the air. This was a very fun, excellent main event that started slow, it started quiet, and it built like any good main event should. These two had one chance to go out there and show the people what they could do, and I thought they killed it. I thought this was exactly the kind of match that you would want to see in the finals of a tournament that, again, I think was misbooked. That's the right word to use. I think that they went about things the wrong way by already starting to build Braun Strowman as the next challenger for Gunther. And they did it, again, tonight he came out, right? Interfered in Gunther's match with Kofi earlier in the show. Clearly that is the match that they're building to. So you know that no matter who won this tournament, and in this case it was Ricochet, they're not going to win the championship. Because they're not taking the title off of Gunther before he has a chance to defend against Braun Strowman. So I feel like they've already handicapped the winner of this tournament no matter who it was going to be. Santos winning would have been just weird because then you have a battle between two heels. So once the final was set, it seemed pretty obvious that Ricochet was going to go over. But they've already been promoting another championship match. And so Ricochet's next in line, but he already feels like he's playing second fiddle to the next guy. So I think that was a mistake to go about it that way. Escobar, though, let me talk about Escobar, because Escobar is somebody who, if you have not been paying attention to him in NXT, or even any of the stuff he did before NXT, the King Cuerno stuff in Lucha Underground, he is a very, very talented guy in the ring. He carries himself like a star. He knows Spanish, but he speaks perfect, fluent English. And this has been a problem in WWE for people who have been called up, who are not from this country, who don't speak English as a first language. And maybe they're first learning the language, whether it's, they speak Spanish or they speak Japanese, whatever it may be. Vince McMahon in the past, and maybe Triple H will be different, but Vince McMahon in the past has seemingly, in a lot of cases, with a few exceptions, been reluctant to push people like that because there's such a heavy emphasis on promos and being able to verbally connect with the audience. If somebody can't speak English, great. If it's hard to understand them, it's going to hurt their push. It's going to hurt their ability to get over on Vince McMahon's television show. Well, Vince McMahon is not there anymore. It's no longer his television show. Triple H brought a lot of these people into NXT, so obviously he saw something in them. You would hope they get an opportunity on the main roster. Escobar, you don't have to worry about that. Escobar can cut promos as good as anybody in this company. And there's no language barrier. There's nothing like that to worry about. He checks all the boxes, other than he's not 6'2". But there are a lot of guys on this roster who have gotten over and have done well who are not 6'2". There's no reason for him not to do well on this main roster. He's got his own faction. You look at that vignette earlier on, right? He's wearing the fancy clothes. He's got the cigar. He's got the drink. He carries himself like a major star. If you carry yourself like one, you're more likely to get over like one. So he lost tonight. I don't think it hurt him because, again, he was in the main event of SmackDown. He had a great showing. Yes, he lost. All the more reason now to get him on television and have him start racking up some wins. I'm already looking ahead and thinking, okay, who could he work with now? Who does Santos Escobar coming out of this tournament work with next? And I think of someone like Butch. I think to do a formal program with them, not just one match, I think would be very good. I look at someone like Shinsuke Nakamura as far as an actual program. Again, Nakamura, not exactly positioned as a major player anymore in this company, but I think that would be a good program for Escobar for him to come out on top on. But there's another name, and if we don't get this match at some point next year, then Triple H is making a very big mistake. The person I want to see Escobar in a feud with is Rey Mysterio. Now, Rey Mysterio looks like is going to be occupied with Karrion Kross very soon, and then he should be occupied with Dominic come WrestleMania time. So it may be a ways off, but there absolutely needs to be a program with Santos Escobar and Rey Mysterio at some point next year. Escobar, though, now needs to start racking up wins against other people. He is someone like Gunther, who is still relatively new to the roster, who they should be building up to be a major player on SmackDown. Tonight was, I think, a big night for him in a main event spot. I think he went out there and he delivered. So I thought this was an excellent match. Now, next Friday night on SmackDown, it is going to be a birthday celebration for Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle is coming back to celebrate his birthday. It is Kurt Angle's 54th birthday, everybody. I know Paul Hamilton dropped that $100 super chat bomb. It's his birthday in less than an hour. Happy birthday to him. But now we get to celebrate Kurt Angle's 54th birthday next Friday. His knees are not a day over 84. And we have McIntyre and Sheamus challenging the winner of the Usos against Riddle and Elias on Raw this Monday. That will be for the undisputed tag team titles. And it sounds like at any week now, at some point in the very near future, we are due to have brand new tag team titles. Probably on a black strap. One set of brand new black, I don't know if it would be black and gold, black and silver tag team titles, supposedly with another giant W logo in the middle. I'm so sick of that fucking thing, but keep an eye out for that. It looks like we're going to get new tag team titles very soon. Here's the Twitter pulse. What did you guys think of SmackDown from Buffalo? 64% of you have said that SmackDown from Buffalo was a thumbs up. 22% said thumbs in the middle. And about 13% gave this show a thumbs down. So at Solomonster on Twitter to go ahead and vote in the Twitter poll. Of course, it wouldn't be a Twitter poll if it wasn't on Twitter. So I guess that kind of makes sense. Let's check out your super chats because we got a whole bunch of them here to get through. Going all the way back to our buddy Simi Valley, who busted it open big time before I even went live tonight. There he is right there. Simi Valley. I know it's a little delayed, but how could I not? Simi Valley with the $100 super chat. Thank you again, Simi. He says, if The Rock... Oh, there's Perk Angle on my screen. Perk Angle. See, he heard me talking about him, and he had to show up tonight. It's Perk Angle's birthday next week. I think Perk Angle will show up to the celebration. Now, Kurt's clean and sober. Kurt's doing well. We like to see Kurt Angle doing well. The goal, by the way, people asking in the chat, the goal is always pinned, by the way, in the chat, if you don't know. The goal for Be the Booker is 350 likes. I believe we're only about 10 away, guys. Just 10 more. Simi Valley says, if The Rock does indeed win the Royal Rumble this year, can you see a scenario where the Money in the Bank ladder match returns to WrestleMania and Cody Rhodes wins it and cashes in on Roman Reigns after he defeats The Rock later that night to become the champion? I do not see that, nor do I want to see that. If and when Cody Rhodes wins the championship, it should absolutely not be on a Money in the Bank cash-in on a tired Roman Reigns. I do not want to see that. But Simi, thank you. Shin, super kick your eye out, Akuma. Coming back for the Solomonster Friday night party. Shin, you're always invited to the party. Taylor with the $5 super chat took Triple H's entry in 2016's Royal Rumble until spotting a wild Solomonster. Enjoyed your live reactions. How was AJ's debut? I can't wait for face Sami Zayn again. That was the Royal Rumble in Orlando. And I was at that show. I was on the hard cam. And I remember, I believe I turned my back, actually, on the finish of that Royal Rumble match, if I'm not mistaken. The reaction to AJ was huge. Because AJ spent so many years in Florida working for TNA, there were a lot of people in that building who knew exactly who he was. Being in the building live, I didn't know that Kevin Dunn shit the bed on, you know, the production of it, and showed Roman Reigns with this look on his face like, you know, did I leave my keys in my car, you know? So I didn't see any of that. I saw AJ come out, he got a huge reaction, and it was this very cool, very unexpected moment. Lakers, Pats. Unify the women's titles, please. Gotta be careful. They unify those women's titles, they'll probably unify them all under Ronda Rousey. Be careful what you wish for. Alberto Ortiz, Jacob deGrom to Texas. How do you feel about it? As I said at the beginning of the stream, not very happy. Not very happy, but I'm taking a half glass full view of it, and now they can take all that money and they can get 2 or 3 good players, because they're going to need more than one player. There may be more people who leave. This may just be the beginning. So I'm not very happy, but you got to look beyond that. I don't know. Yeah, Steve Cohen he is one of the richest owners in all of baseball. Guy's a multi-billionaire. It's not like he couldn't afford to keep deGrom, but I can understand not wanting to give a deal that big and that long to somebody at his age with a bad shoulder. I get it. Brian, the Green Boy, with the $5 super chat. Hey, Blissfan, now there's an idea. How about the Mets? The Mets lose Jacob deGrom, but the Mets get Aaron Judge. I can get behind that. Brian says, I would love to see Pete Dunne have a Jeff Hardy against Undertaker or Neville against Seth Rollins style match against Roman Reigns one day. Those were great. Neville and Rollins, man, that Red Arrow near fall, man, that's one of those great moments. Tyler, you would think the crowd is at a funeral tonight. Yeah, tough crowd. Tough crowd in Buffalo. Chris Hogan, Prince Puma against King Cuerno in the main event. Boots with the $5 super chat. Might be the booze talking, but I would get a kick if William Regal shows up at Raw or SmackDown in an ambulance. I'll send you an email with my story time, baby. The ambulance just went straight from Dynamite to Raw. That would be kind of funny, actually. And he comes out of the ambulance in his full suit, looking fine, totally no selling the injury. No selling being hit in the head with brass knucks. Mr. Notorious Chico 86. Gunther against Brock Lesnar at Mania, of course. Not an Intercontinental title match. It's fresh and their styles match up well. What say you? I don't see how that ends well for Gunther. All you're doing is you're saying that you want him to lose before WrestleMania. Otherwise, he's going in as the champion, and Brock Lesnar has absolutely no reason to wrestle the Intercontinental Champion. So, I mean, what are you proposing? Are you proposing yet another WrestleMania with no IC title match? Haven't we had enough of those? Or are you proposing that Brock Lesnar challenge for the Intercontinental title? I'm sure that you're imagining a world in which Gunther wins. I mean, you're being silly. So, no. The match should be Gunther and Sheamus. Right now, they've separated them. Get away from it for a few months. But remember, the way they left it, Sheamus has a reason. He has a storyline reason to want a rematch with him for the Intercontinental Championship. And there's a story to tell where Sheamus wants to win that title before he retires. Like, there's a story that you can tell. And then finally, he gets that moment at WrestleMania. Brock Lesnar and Gunther could be a match later in the year. That could be a SummerSlam match. You don't have to do it at WrestleMania. I know it's fresh, but you don't have to do it at WrestleMania. He also says, I can totally see Santos and Braun getting involved in the IC title match, possibly making it a fatal 4-way for the Royal Rumble and Santos winning the title. So he wins the title without Gunther having to take a pinfall loss. I still don't like that though. You know, it protects him, but I don't really like that idea. But then I guess that would clear him. That would open him up to do what Chico wants to do and put him in a match with Brock at WrestleMania. I just don't see how that ends well for him. I just don't. I think it ends for him the way it ended for Samoa Joe and a lot of other people before that. Javier Martinez, Tegan and Liv are about to carry the F out of the SmackDown women's division. Anderson Blitz with the $4.99. Superstar Billy Graham must be having a meltdown that a flippy flopper won and not Braun insecure Strowman. Old people are always out of touch. I mean, I can't really bring myself to care what Superstar Billy Graham has to say anymore. You may be the only one who actually thought of Billy Graham in the middle of all this flippy flopper stuff. Chris Miner heard what that like button said about my wife. I told you, man. I told you the other day, the like button has been mouthing off. It's been very fresh. And the things that he said about your wife, I mean, it's just, I can't even repeat them on YouTube. I mean, YouTube would kick me off. So you got to smack the shit out of that thing, man. You got to hit that like button. And I don't know, man. It just the stuff that's been coming out of his mouth. I mean, it said something about Beowulf and MH Nova, too. I don't want to tell them because I don't want to hurt their feelings. Mr. Notorious Chico, what if Dusty and Ric Flair's rivalry back in the 80s for the title was in WWF under Vince McMahon? Would it have been a WrestleMania headliner? Not if Hogan was around, no. If Hogan was around, then they're not headlining WrestleMania against each other. Dusty against Hogan? Flair against Hogan? Yes. But if Hogan is around, there's no way that they headline a WrestleMania. There's just no way. Javier says they are going to have to build up all of the NXT girls since the main roster crowds don't know them. Buffalo was probably SmackDown's worst crowd all year. Yeah, Buffalo sucked. Peter Quartieri, what is up with the 1999 Super Chats? Peter, I was having a very good night until I read the Mets news on ESPN. And then that put me in a very sour mood, but thank you for asking. James Kowaleski, $4.99. I know your pain, Solomonster. My favorite player just signed with a Texas team too. Jose Abreu to the Astros. Alto Johnson with the $9.99. Looking back at Triple H's administration, who do you think benefits from this? Who's really over? Triple H has no idea how to run a massive roster. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say he has no idea how to run a massive roster. I would say that Tony Khan, more so than Triple H, has no idea how to run a massive roster. He's run into some very noticeable, significant booking issues, trying to control a roster that has just gotten very bloated over the last couple of years. I wouldn't say that just yet about Triple H. Triple H has been on the job here with the main roster now for, what's it been, 4 months, maybe 5? And we talked about this at the beginning. We're talking, 6 to 12 months. We're going to turn around in a year and have a better read on how good or not Triple H is going to be at this. And it's not like we didn't see what he was doing with NXT. Now the roster is a lot bigger, so it's a little bit different. But you can't sit here, I think, 5 months in and say, well, he just has no idea how to run a massive roster. I don't like everything that he's doing, but I like enough of what I'm seeing to, not sit here and say that, well, he has no idea what he's doing. We've been through years of Vince McMahon at his age, creatively. He might be a great businessman, but creatively not knowing what he is doing with a lot of different people. Like, I know what that feels like. I've seen the shows. I've watched the product. Triple H is still getting his feet wet. Triple H is giving us, I think, television that if Vince McMahon were still running television, would SmackDown, for example, be as enjoyable as it is in most weeks? I don't think so. I don't think it would be. Raw would be every bit as insufferable as it's always been. Raw has nearly fallen back into the pattern that it was in previously, where there's a lot of weeks where I'm just waiting for the time to pass, and I just can't wait for the 3 hours to be over. But you'll have certain shows that aren't so bad. You know, again, it's been more hit or miss lately. I need to give him a longer leash to see how things are going to be in a few months. Triple H has not even had a draft. Triple H is working off a roster that Vince McMahon assembled. He has not even had his own draft. He has not had his first Royal Rumble. He has not booked his first WrestleMania. That's going to be the real test. What does a Triple H booked Royal Rumble pay-per-view look like? What does a Triple H booked WrestleMania look like? What does a Triple H booked draft look like? So I think we have to give it a little more time before we can write the guy off completely. But I wouldn't say that. Boomerang, what were your initial thoughts about Jacob deGrom leaving for the Texas Rangers? We've already been through that. Boomerang, thank you for the 5. We've got God of Seduction. Says, why not me? Ricochet. With a clown emoji at the end. Tyler. I'll tell you what, every time I see, Ricochet, I see Samantha Irvin, I think it should have been me. Tyler, how do you like Sergeant Slaughter as Lacey's manager? I mean, I don't, but I don't know. I mean, hey, Slaughter going around calling her a maggot every week, I think is going to get old pretty quick. I don't see how Sergeant Slaughter is going to be able to help this woman out. It's interesting, but I don't see how that's going to really make me change my opinion of Lacey Evans. Corey Blake with the 1999 says, sucks to lose DeGrom, but I think the Mets will respond. Plus, do you think Santos Escobar can be a future world champion? And how do you feel about Preston Vance's heel turn? It was long overdue. Well, if Preston Vance wants to advance his career, he had to get out of the Dark Order. The Dark Order is a dead end. The Dark Order is a dead-end faction. So for his career, I think it's a positive. But I can't sit here and tell you, how far he's going to go. So many guys who are bigger names than him and are more talented than he is are stuck in purgatory right now in AEW. So it was a positive move, but I can't really say that his career is going to skyrocket because of it. I don't see that happening. Escobar is a future world champion. I don't think so. Not that he can't be. I think, again, he's got the tools to be, but do I see him as a future world champion in this company? I'm going to say no. I don't see it. I would love to be wrong about that, but I don't feel it. I don't feel it in my gut. My dog's name is Lucy. $1.99. It's okay, Solomonster. The Astros are repeating anyway. Paul Hamilton with that $100 super chat from earlier. Again, he is celebrating his birthday here in 10 minutes. So I want to wish him a very happy birthday. Paul is one of the good ones. Paul, happy birthday. Paul, well, before I go on, I got to give Paul, if I gave Simi Valley the treatment, I got to give it to Paul as well. It's the least I could do. Deep delicious chicken and turkey with flavor. Hello, Solomonster. I have been busy lately with work and World Cup soccer madness. Want to show some love tonight? Hit that like button and flags in the chat. Yeah, I know we have a lot of World Cup fans in the chat, so depending on what country you are rooting for, we could see some flags. Let me pop those flags into the chat. Let's see where everybody stands. What is your allegiance? We'll see in the chat. Ross Lawman. DeGrom deal is good, but it is Bobby Bonilla good. I'm telling you. The Rangers fans don't want to hear it. Right now, they're on cloud 9. Right? Their GM and their team, they're making moves. They're spending money like there's no tomorrow. Right? They're bringing in all kinds of players. And that's great. But this is a deal I think that they're going to regret making at the end of the day. Kevin Dunn's Beaver with the 1992 Ric Flair Royal Rumble Super Chat. Are you for Roman wrestling both nights of WrestleMania? God forbid he gets injured on night one and ruins the whole deal. Thank you for everything, and thank you for Jacob DeGraw, you bastard. You bastard. I'm going to talk more about the Roman and the Rock stuff on the podcast on Sunday, because I'll do a segment on it. I was not a fan, honestly, of the idea of Roman wrestling on two nights, but the more I look at this, the more I think they may not have a choice. They really have with this title situation. They've painted themselves into a corner. And so I think to alleviate some of the issues with the booking that I'm seeing, they may have to. They may have to run two matches and give the fans, who may not be going to both nights of WrestleMania, give them Roman Reigns on both nights. That may be something they have to do. Deep Delicious Chicken and... you can take the turkey out now. Thanksgiving is over. Deep Delicious Chicken and Turkey with flavor. Good night, everyone in the chat. Go Team USA. Thomas with the $5 Super Chat. I missed Wednesday night, but I'm glad it was a successful night for the Sound Off family. Thanks to everyone. It was a crazy night on Wednesday. This chat was rocking. Man, my God, with the memberships and the Super Chats and the regular chats. Holy shit. Aussie of Steel, Toxic Attraction is better than Damage Control. I agree. I would agree with you on that. I think Toxic Attraction is a stronger faction than Damage Control. Based Beerus, God of Seduction, sent a super chat in. Thank you, God of Seduction. Thank you very much. Queen Fire Panda, glad to spend my 20th birthday with all of you misfits. Another birthday. Another birthday. We have two birthdays tonight. We have Kurt Angle's birthday next week. There's birthdays everywhere. Javier Martinez, hope Tegan can stay healthy. She's still only 27. Yeah, that's kind of what worries me with the injuries that she's had. She's only 27 years old. That's never a good thing. Deontay Soigné, $5 super chat. Solomonster. Been listening for 2 years. Props to my homie Spencer, who we have been best friends for 5 years now. Love your content. You're funny as fuck. Funny as fuck. Thank you, Deontay. At least one person appreciates my humor. Javier says Elimination Chamber is already sold out. Yeah, I mean, it's in Montreal. First Montreal pay-per-view in 14 years. I would have been shocked if it didn't sell out. Can you imagine a sold-out Montreal for their first pay-per-view in 14 years with Sami Zayn going for the championship against Roman Reigns? Ooh. Ooh. Can't wait. We've got Mecky McClendon, $4.99. How stupid does it look when the commentators are marking out and the arena is dead silent? Give video packages. Stop sending people out there cold. It's okay to send people out there cold if they're a big enough name that people are going to know who they are. Or if you hit the first chord of their music, the place explodes. Tegan Nox is not that person. She's not that person. And a lot of the people they've done this with recently, they are not the same kind of people either, who I think are going to benefit from being sent out there cold. So yes, video packages, profile pieces. You can't do a White Rabbit campaign like they did with Bray Wyatt for everybody, but Bray Wyatt is also a big name, right? So when he came back, everybody went nuts. Not everybody is a Bray Wyatt. So what you end up with are reactions like you had tonight. And Buffalo was a tough crowd, but honestly, if Tegan Nox had run out there in any other city, the reaction would not have been much better. James Griffin, hey Solomonster, did you ever see the Jay Lethal promo, the one in which he imitates Ric Flair? What did you think of it? I saw it many years ago. I thought it was very entertaining, where he and Flair went back and forth. It's one of the all-time classic moments in TNA history. Brumakian Productions says, heel Solomonster when? I thought I was already a heel. I never turned. I was already a heel. Sean B, I can't believe I got used to calling Walter Gunther. Well, it was only a matter of time. It's like WWF, WWE, right? Eventually, they kind of beat it out of you. Cameron Spencer, would you revisit the worst matches that you have ever seen and give us a top 10 worst match list? There have been too many. There's been too many bad matches for me to rank them in any kind of accurate order. It's easier to do that with the matches I actually liked. It's not even that easy. Even that's hard, but I just think there's far too many terrible matches I have seen over the last 3 decades that it would be almost an impossible task. Love Lie, have you thought about adding women's tag to be the booker? No. Slipper House, extra, extra, break constantly in the back contemplating life. I'm telling you, man, that's all he's doing since he came back. He's had a couple of promos in the ring. But for the most part, what does he do? He hangs around in the back and he talks to himself. I mean, that's, WWE, I would think that they would be a little concerned about this. They would try to get this man some help. Drehund, buy or sell? Backstage footage of CM Punk Brawl Out or Bret Hart Montreal Screwjob? Montreal Screwjob. I want to see him punch Vince McMahon in the face. Although apparently, actually I think he was naked when he came out of the shower. So at least put some sort of distortion or blur on the screen. I don't think I need to see that. But the idea that here's Bret, right? And then Shawn is over there crying. The Undertaker, I think, might have been sitting around. Like, just, I'm trying to picture this in my head. And then Bret punches Vince. Shane tries to protect his father. The Bulldog is there. He doesn't have the knee brace on, so he hyperextends his knee. Like, it's just a whole comedic scene as I map it out in my head. I can only imagine what this must have looked like. That was a far bigger deal than the Brawl Out scrub. Scott Woodford, Billy Graham, I want graham crackers now. Thank you, Scott. Scott gifted a membership earlier tonight as well. Very charitable of him. Juan Ocampo, heard Plumber Moxley hates Kevin Dunn. Is this true? I don't know. Is it? Mox, are you there? Mox? Oh, Mox is gone. He left. I thought he was still in the closet over there. Oh, I feel bad now. I feel bad. Mox is gone. No more Moxley here.
Fuck Kevin Dunn.
Ah, you... He was hiding out in there. He was waiting. He was waiting. He wanted to make me look bad. Bastard. Paul Heyman with the $5 super chat. On the podcast, are you talking about Quetzali Bulnes, the host of WWE Ahora, getting fired from WWE after the incident at the Mexico house show? I will look into that. I will look into that. Peter says, you nailed my name, Yuta Monster. I try. I try my best. I want to make sure I can be as accurate as possible on people's names, so I'm glad I said it the right way. Thank you, Peter. Bob the Builder, some matches added to Ring of Honor Final Battle. Improvement. All right, good. Good for them. Good for them. Dr. Dakota Scorpio, Montreal Screwjob 2.0 with Sami at Elimination Chamber. Been dealing with a terrible upset stomach since last night, so I've been just trying to rest and been watching nothing but nature documentaries on Netflix all day. You want to really mellow out and calm down, you should check out the Bob Ross channel on Pluto TV. 24 hours of nothing but Bob Ross painting. Puts me to sleep every single night. I love it. And we have Boney with the $2 super chat. Boney, curious, Triple H is in, but is terrorizing in Be the Booker. Nope, he is not. I can't say that he is. Terrorizing is indeed, he's not in Be the Booker. We have got Mistiff Mountains, $5 super chat. If WrestleMania ever had a permanent host, which city or country would it be? Well, it would be the U.S. That's their home base. So if it was a permanent host, it would obviously be somewhere in the U.S. Permanent host city of WrestleMania. Probably the New York, New Jersey area. At the end of the day, you always have to come home. That's where it all began. Food Hive says, late to the party, I was with a woe man. I was with the woe man. Was it a woe man, or was it a woe man who you thought was a woe man? But it was actually Smurfette. Thank you, Food Hive. I'll let you and Smurfy enjoy the rest of your night. Don't want to interrupt the very quiet night between you two. Far be it for me to interrupt a quiet night with Food Hive and his lady friend. Miguel, the Vince McMahon documentary is going to be airing on December 13th. So when Tales from the Territories ends next week, airs every Tuesday. The following Tuesday is the Vince McMahon documentary, The 9 Lives of Vince McMahon on Vice TV, December 13th, 9 p.m. Eastern. There you go. Sean101 says, hey, bro, I love your channel. Sean, I love you for saying that. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy the content. Hopefully you stick around. Bob the Builder says, what were your initial thoughts of wrestling with shadows when it first came out? I was blown away by it, just the level of access that they had. And a lot of the backstage stuff, I mean, that was in 98, I think, that it came out. So I was, I mean, that was in my younger years when I was just any information I could find on backstage stuff. I was just eating that shit up. I was so intrigued by the goings-on behind the scenes during that whole Monday Night War period, Attitude Era period. So to have that level of access to backstage footage and behind-the-scenes stuff, what was going on at the time, I thought it was incredible. I loved it the first time I watched it. I watched it twice. Now, of course, and I think even today, though, that would be intriguing to a lot of people. But now, it's 25 years later or whatever. We have so much access to everything, and we have documentaries for everything. The fucking Undertaker had cameras following him backstage at home. I mean, we almost have too much access now, to be honest with you. The mystique is completely killed. And that's one of the things in watching every single week when you watch these episodes of Tales from the Territories. This week it was the Mid-Atlantic one on Jim Crockett Promotions, which was really good. And you really, this is back in the era of protecting kayfabe and everything. It really hits home. Like, we have too much access now. Like, they pulled the curtain back so far, and the problem is you can't put the curtain back. Like, you can't unring that bell once it's been rung. And like, to be honest with you, this news item in the Observer, and I'll talk more about it on Sunday, but this news item about there being talk within WWE, and it's just an idea they're floating around that, The Rock could be a surprise 30th entrant and win the Royal Rumble. And I read something like that, and it's like, that's the sort of thing I wish I didn't read. You know what I mean? Like, that's the sort of thing I wish that they could actually find a way to keep that shit under wraps. So we don't read about it on the web, and we don't talk about it on the podcast. And you have that one moment where the music hits and it's like, whoa, right? Like Edge, when he came back in the Royal Rumble a few years ago. There were some murmurs about him coming back, but it was still a shock when you heard that music, right? This guy's been retired for 9 years, and there he is, and everybody's going nuts. Those are the moments as a wrestling fan that you live for. And so I kind of wish that we could put a lid on stuff like that, but I guess the genie's out of the bottle on that, right? There's only so much you can do. Every now and then they manage to keep something under wraps. I appreciate when they take the effort to kind of hide people on a bus, and they really go above and beyond to like fly them into a different airport and stuff like that. But you can't do that all the time, So anyway, The goal tonight was 350 likes to do Be the Booker, and I see here that we have blown past 400. So I thank you for smashing the goal, smashing the like button. And with that being said, let us go and let us be the Booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the Booker.
It is your Friday night SmackDown edition of Be the Booker, where we book 3 random matches, a men's match, a women's match, and a tag team match. And I am doing it completely randomly, have no idea what it's going to land on. I have put together these animations myself. There are, the men's, I want to say there's probably north of 200 different entries in here. Have no idea what it's going to land on, but that's where the fun comes in. So, let's see. On the men's side, we begin with Shaquille O'Neal. It is the man himself, Shaq. He's been in WWE. He's been in WCW. He's taken a table bump in AEW. He was in the Andre Battle Royal in WWE. Shaq has, I'm surprised Shaq's not in the Hall of Fame. Shaquille O'Neal, one of the many people to be punked out on television by Brandy Rhodes and have a drink splashed in his face. It'll be Shaquille O'Neal going one-on-one with Seth Rollins. I think Seth Rollins would actually get the best possible match out of Shaquille O'Neal. I don't know how Shaq's moving around these days. Shaq's getting up there. Shaq's a big guy. Seth Rollins, though, guy's a workhorse. I think Seth Rollins would get the best possible match you can get out of Shaquille O'Neal. I'm going to give that the bell. What a match, too. That's a match I never even thought of that, but Shaq and Rollins. Shaq and Seth. I think that has potential. On the women's side, we start things out. Oh, there she is again, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. It is the rug burn. That is her finish. There's Awesome Kong outside the ring, watching all of this unfold, contemplating why she got into the professional wrestling business in the first place. Jenna Maraska, for those who don't know. One of the absolute worst of all time, one of the worst matches I have ever seen. This part may have been the only redeeming part, frankly, of the entire match. Jenna Maraska going to take her rug burn over to Queen Zelina, who was looking very good tonight on SmackDown, but Zelina Vega against Jenna Maraska sounds like an absolute fucking nightmare. Jenna Maraska against anybody sounds like an absolute fucking nightmare, to be fair. Try our hands here at the tag team edition of Be the Booker. Love me some good tag team wrestling. We begin with the Brain Busters, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. I was just talking about Jim Crockett Promotions. These guys were all over Jim Crockett Promotions. You wait. Now, I don't know how many of you have been keeping up with these episodes of Tales from the Territory. That's why I've been reviewing them for you on the podcast. If you're not aware of the Ricky Morton, Tully Blanchard story, you're gonna wanna tune into the podcast on Sunday. That's one of the better stories that I've ever heard. The Brain Busters, former WWF Tag Team Champions, managed by the greatest of all time, Bobby the Brain Heenan, taking on Daryl Hall and John Oates. Maybe the greatest tag team of all time. Hall and Oates against Anderson and Blanchard. That is an 80s classic if I have ever heard. There is no match that more just symbolizes the 1980s than the Horsemen against Hall and Oates. Find me another tag team match that screams 1980s as much as that. Say it isn't so. So there you go. There is your Be the Booker. Here for this SmackDown stream. Love it. I love it. So many great hits. So many great hits. I can't even name them all. Hall & Oates should have had that big tag team run. It's a shame they never did. We got some, I see Food Hive chime back in. Bobby's World says, sorry I missed the membership giving party on Wednesday. Hey, it can be a membership giving party any night of the week. It doesn't just have to be Wednesday. We just started the month of December, right? This is the holiday season. Anytime you want to give, we have plenty of people in the chat who are not channel members. You're more than welcome to gift them a membership, although, again, that may only be on PC. I don't think that works on mobile. Food Hive with the $4.99. I was talking to her about the Montreal screw job. She said the only screw job I need to worry about is right here, and pointed at herself. Chef's kiss. I always knew that Smurfette was a dirty one right there. I could just tell by watching the cartoon as a kid. I knew something was off about this woman. I knew that she was a little freaky deek there. So congratulations, Food Hive. Food Hive bringing the freak out of Smurfette. You got to tell me if some of that blue is, if that gives her some kind of superpower of some kind. I don't know. Maybe I don't want to know. Does she wear the hat? We're all adults here, right? You can share some of those intimate secrets with us. I smoke a lot of weed. $4.99 super chat. I hate when my wife gets mad at me for being lazy. It's not like I did anything. I think the words got jumbled there. Oh, I see. Ugh, good Lord. It took me a while to... If it takes me a while to realize the punchline, then it's a terrible joke. I hate when my wife gets mad at me for being lazy. It's not like I did anything. Jesus. See, I thought the punchline was coming after. I didn't realize that was the punchline. Any thoughts on Barry Bloom? Does he deserve to go into the Hall of Fame? I'll bet WWE doesn't think so. I'm sure Barry Bloom probably gave them a lot of headaches over the years. I would think Barry Bloom is probably the last person who wants to go into the Hall of Fame. Or the last person who WWE wants to put in the Hall of Fame. That'd be like Major League Baseball putting Scott Boras in the Hall of Fame. You know what that was? That was a dad joke. I smoke a lot of weed. That was a dad joke, is what that was. Scott Woodford with the $3 super chat. Wife number 3 is coming Monday. Skywalker, $4.99. Was the Liver King admitting to taking steroids shocking to you? And how would Vince McMahon book him? Vince McMahon would have... Are you kidding me? Vince McMahon would have booked him on television every week. No, it was not shocking. If you saw what the Liver King looked like, it was pretty fucking clear that he was on something. Every bodybuilder in the world that I saw put out videos on YouTube said as much. They said you can't get his physique without some kind of supplementation of some kind. Let's put it that way. For those who don't know about this Liver King guy, it was a whole controversy this week. I can't even explain all of it to you here. Just type in Liver King up on YouTube. You'll see a bunch of videos come up about it. Take one look at that guy and you tell me. You think he's on steroids? Come on. Give me a break. Maze says, I don't care what people say, Barry Bonds belongs in the Hall of Fame. I'll leave that to the chat. What do you guys think? If it were up to you, You put Barry Bonds or Roger Clemens in the Hall of Fame? Let's see what you people think. Paul Heyman, no. I've got a lot of other news to cover, not the Liver King. Boots. It looks about 50-50 in the chat right now. I'm putting them in the Hall of Fame. I'm seeing yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. It's a very divided issue. It's a very divisive issue. Bobby's World with the $10 super chat. Bobby, thank you. For Royal Rumble, be the booker. Instead of booking an entire Rumble, which would be crazy, you can book just the winner, Final 2 or Final 4. Well, let's get to the Royal Rumble first. Let's assume that we'll break our goal for the night. Usually the Rumble is one of our bigger streams of the year. But if I make the goal very high, there's no guarantee that we'll break it. If we do, though, we'll do something special that night. Food Hive says, was listening to Hall & Oates while getting brain busted. Skywalker was the Liver King. We talked about that. We have Michael Cuomo. Who would take the Spike Pile Driver finish? In the tag team match. Well, I would say, Daryl Hall would never take that move. It's like the Hulk Hogan of Hall & Oates. He pretty much has creative control. So he would delegate that to Oates, and they would probably Spike Pile Drive the mustache right off of his face. Austin Tucker, yes. Sheamus is going to win the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania next year. Boots, what song do Hall & Oates make their entrance to? Actually, the better question is, do they sing themselves out to the ring? Do they do a live performance of their own music for their own entrance? Has that ever been done before? Has Chris Jericho ever performed a Fozzy song to introduce himself to the ring for a match? That could be the first time they do that. What song? That's a good question. What song would Hall & Oates sing themselves to the ring with? I mean, there's so many great options, right? I mean, there's so many great songs. Out of Touch doesn't really make sense, although that's my favorite song. You got Maneater, Say It Isn't So, Adult Education. God. What would be the best? Family Man? Maybe Family Man? I don't know. Can't go wrong with any of those. As long as it's not Sarah Smile. I never liked Sarah Smile. Road Dogg. Yeah, I know Road Dogg say if you can. Road Dogg doesn't sing a whole song though to the ring. I'm saying for their entrance. Maybe back when he was doing With My Baby Tonight, he did once. Maybe I don't know. Love Lie says Liver King looks like Super Soldier Ciampa. He does, doesn't he? Food Hive. My first super chat was going to be me asking you why so blue. But I knew a damn Smurfette joke was coming. I hate you all. I would think the Friday streams are your favorite. Look how blue it is here on the stream, right? This is great. I'm sure Smurfette's probably smoking a cigarette on the couch, right? Kicking her shoes off, looking at all the blue. She knows Friday's a blue night, right? Not Mondays. Friday's a blue night, right? She's probably getting hot, right? She's probably getting hot. She's getting a little wet right now watching Solomonster. I know this. I know. Don't be jealous. Why would Peacock put a Casey Anthony documentary? Is that what they're doing? Did they put a Casey Anthony documentary? Fuck Casey Anthony, by the way. Fuck Casey Anthony and fuck anybody who wants to do business with her. Food Hive says Billy and Chuck's theme is better than Hall and Oates. Well, now I don't feel so bad for making those Smurfette jokes. Now I don't feel... I was starting to feel bad, but now I don't feel bad at all. I have no sympathy for you now. Alberto, I told you I was a heel. You think I'm lying? I told you before. I was already a heel. Who's Casey Anthony? He's a baby killer. That's who. She's an evil human being. Shout out to King Solomon in the chat. I love the name. I smoke a lot of weed, $1.99. Appreciate you, Solo, even if I go MIA sometimes. Well, I just assume that sometimes you smoke a lot of weed, right? And so you're not always here with us. I get it. No need to apologize. Where is Hook? Is he hurt? No, Hook is not hurt. Hook just had a match a few weeks ago. It's like they're hiding him now. He was getting over as one of their big stars, right? I figure, okay, you slowly build him up, and he's almost non-existent now. Like so many other people on the AEW roster who get featured for a period of time, and then it's almost like they vanish, and you got to put missing posters up on the trees in the street. No, he's not hurt. They're just not doing much with him. He has a championship. It's not an officially recognized championship. He's wrestling total scrubs on TV that nobody gives a fucking shit about. So no, they had something with Hook. They've really cooled him off, just like they cooled off Wardlow. And so I guess we'll have to see who they put him up against when they decide to put him in there with an actual name. Maybe they're trying to hide him because they feel like he's not ready. Which begs the question, why did they bother pushing him in the first place? If they honestly felt that way, then why, why ask why? Why ask why? And then I'll have people come to me and say, why do you kiss Tony Khan's ass? You never say anything bad about Tony Khan or AEW. You're just an AEW ass kisser. The brain damage is real with some of these people. It's unbelievable. How would I rate Buff Bagwell's career? He got over more than a lot of people do. A lot of people become professional wrestlers and they don't have the kind of success that Buff Bagwell had for a period of time. The fact that we even still know who Buff Bagwell is and talk about Buff Bagwell 20 some odd years later, right? I mean, he doesn't have to be a world champion to be considered a success. He had success in WCW. I think he actually could have been an even bigger star than he was. I really do. I think when he came back from the broken neck, they had a real chance to turn him into a super babyface, and instead they turned him heel, and he went right back to being a lackey in the NWO. WCW had an opportunity there in '98 to make Buff Bagwell a huge babyface, and they squandered it. So he was a star for a period of time, but I also look at Buff Bagwell as someone who, both through WCW's ineptness and his own issues, squandered the opportunity to be a much bigger star. Food Hive says, can you please do that voice again? All you do is kiss WCW. All you do is kiss Tony Khan's ass. You're an AEW ass kisser. You kiss the elite's ass, man. CM Punk for life, man. CM Punk. What does CM Punk do to you, man? You kiss the elite's ass, man. That's how I imagine they sound when they sit there sending these messages out to me. Sweat dripping down from their fucking face. It's terrible. Can I see Pat McAfee as a surprise entrant at the Royal Rumble instead of just going back to announcing on his first night back? I could see him being in the Royal Rumble, getting eliminated, and then taking a seat next to the announcers. I was going to say he goes to the announce desk after he gets eliminated and takes Wade Barrett's spot, but the announce team for the pay-per-views going forward, it's just Michael Cole and Corey Graves. So I guess that probably wouldn't work. Drew McIncock. What's up, Solomonster? Who do you have winning the World Cup? I got to go USA all the way. I got to root for my home team. I saw that guy get hit in the balls the other day, and apparently he's going to be playing this weekend. He's going to literally nut up, and he's going to play in the game, and hopefully they'll win. Thoughts on the new Indiana Jones movie trailer that came out today? I didn't even know there was a new Indiana Jones movie coming out. I was not a big fan of the first Indiana Jones films, so I can't say that I'm all that interested in this one. What do I think of the idea of a mixed tag team title? I don't like it. I'm not opposed to them doing mixed tag team matches. I don't think we need a title. So that's one championship I think is completely unnecessary. I just don't think it's needed. But if they want to start doing mixed tag team matches, who knows? Maybe they build up a division one day, and then maybe I'll change my mind and I'll say, you know what? I think we do need mixed tag team titles. But I don't see a championship. I don't see the need for it. Who's my favorite referee? I got to go Earl Hebner. Earl is the man. USA is up against the Netherlands, which will be difficult. I didn't say it was going to be easy. I didn't say it was going to be an easy walk in the park. I just said I got to go with the USA. But you have to see the second Mario. I don't want to incur people's wrath. Mario trailer with Princess Peach. Yes, I did. The Mario movie actually looks really good. I'm not sold on this. The voice from Mario. It's Chris Pratt, right, who does the voice. I'm not sold on that, but I think the visuals I've seen. I mean, I think it looks great. I'll probably see that when it comes out. Food Hive says that's way funnier than your Snuka and Russo. Yeah. Well, that's your opinion, man. That's your opinion. Thank you, Food Hive. Maybe he's doing a New York. That's definitely no. No. For years, I said it as Super Mario. It was Super Mario Brothers. And then all of you people corrected me and said, it's not Mario, it's Mario. So now I say it to appease you, but I'll have you know that in private or amongst friends, it's still Mario. But to make you people happy, I'll say Mario. Mike Chioda or Lil Nate? I go Lil Nate. What happened to the Kingdom after FTR attacking FTR back in October? Are they hurt or is AEW? I forgot about them actually until you just mentioned it. No, they're not hurt. People, that's one of the problems in AEW. People make appearances one time, maybe twice, and then they disappear. Or they disappear from TV to the YouTube shows. There's no continuity for some of these people. There's no rhyme or reason. Some people do get hurt, but a lot of people aren't hurt. They just aren't being used, right? We had the House of Black make their return on Dynamite, not this week, but the week before. And I was very happy to see them back. They weren't on the show this week. I mean, unless they were on Rampage tonight. If you saw, I haven't seen Rampage yet, but on Dynamite, they were nowhere to be found. We had a replay of their return from the week before. No House of Black. Are we going to get them on TV this week? They're not in the preview. Probably not. But again, I remember, I keep forgetting I'm supposed to kiss AEW's ass. I don't want to kill people's narratives, so. Food Hive says, are you into the Addams Family? Netflix Wednesday was fire. No, not really. I mean, I've seen the Addams Family, the first movie they did many years ago. I've seen the TV show, when I was younger, but I'm not really an Addams Family, like, oh, I love the Addams Family. Like, no, I don't really care. Were they on Rampage tonight? Well, at least they were on Rampage. I guess that's good. They ended Rampage tonight. Well, that's nice. Have I ever been so tired that I passed out from sheer exhaustion after doing a show? Yes. I've had streams where I don't go to bed until 3 o'clock in the morning or something, and I pass out pretty quickly. So if I go late enough, yeah. And then I end up having to wake up 4 hours later. Then I'm really tired. So yeah, it happens sometimes. If I go late enough, it happens. Why hasn't Medusa been hired by a company as a trainer? She would be an asset. She was just on NXT this week. She was on NXT with Shawn Michaels and Road Dogg and X-Pac, or as Steve Austin calls him, X-Pac. And Molly Holly. Always nice to see Molly Holly. Molly just seems like a really nice person. Somebody who you would just love to be friends with, you know? Very wholesome lady. Food Hive, never forget that you carry water for WWE. Oh, well, how could I forget? Of course. I mean, sometimes I forget I have water in both hands and I forget who I'm carrying it for. Who's this water for? Is this one for WWE or is this one for Tony Khan? Like, I have 2 water bottles and I just don't remember who it's supposed to go to. So sometimes I have to kind of remind myself, who am I carrying water for this week? Dr. Dakota Scorpio, quick thoughts on another Transformers movie based with Beast Wars involved now, if you watched any of the movies. I saw the first Transformers movie that came out with Megan Fox, and I did not see any of the other ones. I wasn't even really big into the cartoon when I was younger, for some reason. I was never a big Transformers guy. I ever watched the Harry Potter series? No. Says, I don't know how you don't do any of this without coffee. I have to drink coffee at times just to get myself sleepy, says Juan. Yeah, I've never liked coffee, so coffee's not my thing. Have I seen Black Panther 2? No. I haven't seen Black Panther 1. Good shit. Good shit. Some good question. Trying to answer as many as I can. So hopefully I was able to answer some questions. Have I seen any of the Pirates of the Caribbean? The first one. You can tell I've seen the first of a lot of different things and then I lose interest. You've got to really grab me to keep me coming back for the sequels. I know, for example, there's another Avatar movie coming out. I never saw the first Avatar. Why should I see the second avatar? Scott gets the final super chat. It looks like you don't carry the salt or control your narrative. No, I stopped doing that a long time ago. I am going to be back with you on Monday night. We're going to be live after Monday Night Raw, or the way it's been lately, Mundane Night Raw. But hopefully they'll pick up with things on Monday. Of course, first we have episode 785 of the Sound Off on Sunday. And we have a lot to discuss on that episode as well. And I have a lot of work to do to wrap up my my notes on. There's so many different things. I just kind of dump it all in a document. Now I got to make sense of it, and I have to put it in the order it has to be in, and I have to it's a lot. But we'll get that done, and we have that coming up on Sunday, so you get me on Sunday and Monday. Dakota says, have I seen Halloween 3? Why, yes, I have. As a matter of fact, I have seen Halloween 3 many, many, many times. And King Bling Blah, who are some wrestlers that don't look like wrestlers? Pretty much, I'd say 90% of the wrestlers that we have on TV today. So, take care. Have yourselves a great weekend. Thank you for all the love Wednesday night, tonight as well. You guys also came out in full force. I appreciate it. Simi Valley, Paul, thank you for those $200 super chats. All of our new channel members, all the green in the chat. I thank you all. Hopefully you will be back with me on Monday night. We'll have another party here on Monday night. So I will see you then. Until then, guys, have yourselves a great night.